So what'd you find?
We think we have an entrance to something here.
And it's just got these big blocks in front of it?
Yeah, it's been sealed up.
That is unbelievable. Look at that.
Now you can look at a three-dimensional image of the structure.
Look at the size of it. It's huge.
Yeah.
High in the clouds, a drone captured the impossible, a perfectly carved door on a remote mountain peak. When Ben Marshall scaled the treacherous slopes to investigate, he found more than ancient symbols and weathered stone. Within the hidden chamber, a haunting secret made tears stream down his face.
Now, this is quite a discovery. Fragments of a biblical scroll, along with other relics, have been found in Desert Cave.
Had his late wife's stories been true all along? Join us as we reveal the mind-blowing moment when centuries of hidden history came crashing into this man's life, forever changing everything. The discovery of the doorway. High in an ancient mountain range shrouded by drifting clouds, drone pilot Ben Marshall made a discovery that would reshape everything he knew about his late wife's heritage. After spending 3 years methodically surveying these rugged cliffs, he had grown used to seeing only rocks and shadows through the drone's camera. But on this particular morning, the drone's feed showed something shocking and unmistakable: a door carved into solid stone. At first, Ben thought it might be a trick of the light. The seasoned pilot squinted at the screen, his breath fogging in the cold air as he guided the drone closer. There it was, clean geometric lines forming a perfect rectangle. Centuries of overgrowth had partly concealed the entrance, but enough of the rough-hewn carvings remained to show that this was no natural formation. A surge of excitement swept through the base camp's communication line when Ben relayed his coordinates and images to the ground team. This moment was especially powerful for Ben, who had taken on the expedition in memory of his late wife, Kanani. She had spent her life studying oral histories about a lost civilization known as the Anara, insisting there were remnants hidden in the wildest peaks of the archipelago. Her devotion had once seemed like a dream, too large and uncertain, yet here it stood, a gateway that might hold proof of everything she had believed. As the team assembled a climbing plan, the wind began to whistle across the cliffs, reminding them that nature can be as formidable as any locked door. Despite harsh weather and dizzying altitudes, the researchers and climbers pushed forward, determined to reach the mysterious entrance. Hanging from his neck, Ben carried Kanani's old pendant, a family heirloom rumored to be a key to understanding her people's past. Though he had always thought of it as little more than a keepsake, he felt a new spark of hope that it might serve a greater purpose. Upon reaching the doorway, the group discovered a massive boulder wedged behind it like a secret guard. Skilled climbers used ropes and careful rigging to set up a hydraulic system. Everyone held their breath as metal groaned under tension. The team eased the boulder aside, unveiling a dark chamber within. Flashlights danced over the walls, revealing swirling carvings and cryptic symbols, the kind Kanani had found in old journals and elder interviews. Ben's heart pounded when he saw a small, circular depression in the middle of a stone altar. Something in his gut told him to check the pendant. Pulling it from his coat, he realized it fit the space exactly. A hush fell over the chamber. With a slight click, the pendant locked in place. Then, lines of light glowed across the rock, illuminating hidden patterns. He could almost feel Kanani's presence guiding him. The hidden chamber. From the moment Ben Marshall and his team tugged the massive boulder aside, they knew they were about to witness something extraordinary. Tucked deep in the rugged mountain face, the doorway opened into a chamber thick with dust and silence. Each step they took echoed against walls that glowed faintly under the beams of their flashlights, revealing intricate carvings in swirling patterns. This was the hidden chamber that had haunted so many local legends, the kind of place people whispered about but never found. At the center stood a time-worn altar, its edges chipped and worn from centuries of neglect. Despite the aged stone, a perfect circular depression in the middle looked as smooth as when it was first carved. Ben's heart quickened as he recognized the symbols etched around it, patterns his late wife Kanani had researched in her quest to prove that her ancestors, the Anara, had once thrived in these mountains. As the team circled the altar, they realized that the chamber's wall carvings all led toward this singular place, as if everything important converged there. For all their preparation, no one expected how well the altar had been preserved. Tiny lines of carved text stretched out from the center, each pointing to different sets of symbols accompanied by images of crops, stars, and what appeared to be constellations. Dr. Thorne, the team's lead archaeologist, gasped when she shone her light across a partly hidden mural. She recognized scenes of crowded villages, ceremonies, and families passing down small objects that looked like necklaces or pendants. Could these be glimpses of the Inara's way of life? Ben, still reeling from the discovery of the doorway, carefully reached beneath his jacket and pulled out Kanani's old pendant. Whenever she had spoken of her people, she mentioned that this heirloom might one day help unlock the secrets they protected. Placing the pendant into the circular depression, he felt an almost electric thrill flow through his fingertips. At first, nothing happened. Then, faint lines of light began tracing the carvings, illuminating hidden pathways etched into the walls. The air felt charged, as though the very room had awakened after hundreds of years asleep. A beam of light formed a network of glowing lines across the stone, matching up with symbols and painted figures scattered around the chamber. Dr. Thorne's voice shook with excitement as she and Dr. Reeves, the team's writing systems expert, scrambled to capture everything on their tablets. They quickly realized that the altar was a key, a way to read and decode the layered carvings. What at first looked like random symbols now revealed itself as an elaborate code, telling the tale of the Inara and the trials that forced them to hide their knowledge. In the far corner of the chamber, they found the most moving discovery yet, a painted depiction of a proud woman wearing the same style pendant as Kanani's. It showed her standing guard over a small child and a trove of scrolls, as if vowing to protect their culture at all costs. Ben's eyes filled with tears. After years of searching, he had tangible proof that Kanani's devotion to these stories wasn't in vain. And more than that, he saw how an entire civilization, threatened by outside forces and desperate to survive, had chosen to safeguard its traditions within these hidden walls. Preservation of knowledge. Preserving knowledge can be the difference between a culture fading away forever or living on through the ages. For the Inara people, every song, carving, and heirloom carried hidden pieces of their identity. When colonizing forces came, threatening to erase their traditions, the Inara fought back in cunning, patient ways. Over time, these efforts formed a vast tapestry of personal stories, secret symbols, and hidden sanctuaries. Each element preserved a precious fragment of their culture and, woven together, created a roadmap that helped future generations rediscover their roots. Ben Marshall and his team first sensed the power of this preservation when they examined the hidden chamber in the high mountain peaks. Deep within the dark stone walls, they found an altar carved with the same swirling motifs passed down through Inara families for centuries. At its center rested a small depression, sized perfectly for a pendant that had been in Ben's family by way of his late wife, Kanani. When placed in the altar, this heirloom not only illuminated the chamber with an otherworldly glow, but also revealed a system of symbols meant to be read by those who still carried Inara blood and memory. These carvings spoke of an interconnected network of hidden knowledge. After centuries of oppression, the Inara had discovered how to conceal their most sacred teachings. They carved coded symbols into stone walls and crocheted cryptic patterns into tapestries. They passed on their secrets through lullabies and communal dances, choosing oral histories because invaders often overlooked stories told by the fireside. In the chambers they built, the Inara preserved everything from agricultural practices and medicinal remedies to spiritual beliefs and even star charts. They hid these records in places few people could reach, anticipating that one day their descendants would return. No single person or place carried the complete picture alone. Instead, every new fragment of knowledge discovered led researchers to the next clue. This approach was not only a shield against those who wanted to destroy the past, but also a living embodiment of the Inara's communal spirit. Each family guarded a different piece of wisdom. One might protect the method to grow hardy crops in high altitudes, while another passed on sacred songs that pointed to the location of new chambers. By scattering and carefully hiding these crucial facts, the Anara ensured that no conqueror could destroy their culture in one fell swoop. For Ben, the greatest revelation was how these long-forgotten traditions were designed to safeguard the future. Once the hidden chamber's carvings were decoded, they revealed data about the land's climate patterns and sustainable farming techniques that echoed modern research. This proved the Anara were not only preserving their heritage, but also offering solutions to challenges that continue to affect their descendants today. Their star charts, for instance, helped map seasonal changes that remain relevant for farming communities scattered across the archipelago. The role of oral tradition. Oral tradition played a powerful role in how the Anara people protected their culture, ensuring that even when outsiders tried to destroy their written records, their core knowledge would live on. Throughout generations, songs, stories, and shared memories took the place of formal texts. Rather than writing everything down where enemies could find and burn it, the Anara passed their wisdom through the spoken word, weaving it into daily life and family rituals. From a young age, children learned lullabies and chants without realizing they were actually preserving agricultural practices or astronomical data in each line. These tunes and verses acted like codes. The beauty was that no conqueror could erase information stored in the hearts and minds of ordinary people. This knowledge moved with them wherever they went, staying alive long after physical artifacts were lost or destroyed. Many elders became the memory keepers, carefully repeating the words of ancestors and encouraging younger villagers to do the same. Stories that seemed like mere folklore or bedtime tales contained hidden guidance about planting seasons, constellations in the sky, and cures for common illnesses. Because the colonizers treated these oral traditions as unimportant, they unknowingly gave the Anara a chance to save their legacy right under their noses. Kanani, whose research inspired Ben Marshall's expedition, grew up listening to such stories from her grandmother. These tales were often dismissed by outsiders as fantasy. Yet, Kanani knew they held vital connections to hidden doorways and unknown chambers scattered throughout the rugged mountains. Oral tradition didn't just keep scattered details alive, it protected entire ways of life, reminding future generations that they came from a resilient, resourceful people. When Ben and his team discovered the mountain doorway and the chamber beyond it, they saw how accurately the old stories led them there. Without these spoken accounts guiding their drone surveys, it would have been nearly impossible to uncover the entrance at all. Those folklore stories about doorways where the first rays of sunlight touched the cliffs turned out to be precise truths passed down through word of mouth. Within the hidden chamber, carvings and symbols confirmed much of what the elders had been saying all along. Personal narratives, lullabies, and seemingly quaint anecdotes all revealed themselves as pieces of a grand puzzle the Anara had scattered across time and distance. Decoding the symbols only proved how cleverly the Anara had shaped their oral tradition to preserve vital information, hiding it in songs, repeated phrases, and heirloom objects like Kanani's pendant. In the wake of rediscovering these stories, descendants of the Anara recognized the immense value in maintaining their oral culture. Younger community members started to document the songs and legends that their grandparents had recited, ensuring they wouldn't be forgotten if disasters struck again. Yet, even as they wrote them down for safer keeping, they understood that the real power of these stories lay in the spoken word, in the sharing of memories face to face, voice to voice. Cultural renaissance. From the moment Ben Marshall and his team revealed the hidden doorway high up in the mountains, communities across the region felt a stirring. This was more than just a historical curiosity. It awakened something deep within those who shared the Anara heritage. Stories and songs once dismissed as mere folklore now drew crowds eager to revisit the words of parents and grandparents. Like a spark in dry tinder, the discovery ignited a wave of renewed pride and purpose that swept through villages and towns, marking the start of a cultural renaissance. At first, the excitement centered on news of the ancient carvings and the secret chamber. Local people gathered around laptops and phones, eyes wide with wonder as they watched videos of the expedition's findings. It was not only a thrill to see centuries-old carvings come to light, but a powerful validation of the oral histories many had grown up hearing. The Anara were no longer just legends. They had a tangible past carefully preserved in stone. With this proof, descendants realized they carried pieces of that tradition in themselves, inherited across time through songs, recipes, and even small heirlooms passed down from one generation to the next. In many homes, elders who had once felt ignored began to receive visits from younger relatives, curious about the old tales. Grandfathers recounted how the arrival of colonizing forces had forced the Anara to hide their knowledge, passing down only the essentials in songs and riddles. Grandmothers remembered lullabies that had once seemed like mere melodies, but were, in fact, coded instructions on farming, astronomy, and spiritual customs. It dawned on everyone that these simple stories contained the keys to a much larger cultural puzzle. Curiosity, long dormant, turned into a push to protect and celebrate their shared roots. Soon, a new generation of researchers emerged from the local communities, ready to join archaeologists in the field. They brought with them not only formal education in history and linguistics, but also a personal stake in reclaiming their heritage. Working alongside professionals, they ventured to uncover additional hidden chambers across the archipelago. Each new site they identified strengthened the connection between modern-day Anara descendants and the vibrant legacy their ancestors had so carefully safeguarded. Even the arts began to flourish with newfound inspiration. Local painters reintroduced ancestral motifs into their work. Musicians combined traditional melodies with modern beats. Dancers brought back ancient steps once taught in secret. Performances celebrating Anara traditions drew unprecedented crowds, bridging gaps between past and present. Festivals honoring the solstices and equinoxes, linked to the star charts found in the hidden chamber, were revived and widely attended. Younger people, once inclined to leave their small towns in search of opportunity, now saw value right at home, where ancient wisdom and cutting-edge technology could merge. Uncovering King Solomon's tomb. A team of scientists and archaeologists, led by Iset Mazar from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, discovered the location of Solomon's tomb in the city of David. But before this, in 1986, Dr. Eilat Mazar made a significant archaeological discovery, which she initially dated to the 9th century BCE. This discovery was a monumental gatehouse located about 150 meters north of the city of David, in the Ophel area. At the time, Mazar did not have enough evidence to attribute the gatehouse to King Solomon, and refrained from making such claims. In 2009, Mazar resumed her excavations at the Ophel site.
Now, all over the place, we have Iron Age, like First Temple period, floor layers, you can see.
And with more findings and a better understanding of the structure, she re-examined the dating of the gatehouse. Based on the new evidence, she concluded that the gatehouse likely dated to the 10th century BCE, during the time of King Solomon. Why should we believe this archaeological discovery by Mazar? Keep watching. Dr. Mazar was a brilliant scientist who placed tremendous importance in the scientific method. As an archaeologist, one of her favorite motto is, "We must let the stones speak." The late Herschel Shanks emphasized Dr. Mazar's qualifications in a 2007 Biblical Archaeology Review article. He said, "Nobody would question her professional competence as an archaeologist." Dr. Mazar is often regarded as a biblical scientist.
How can we make things as tangible as possible in light of the biblical stories and effects and narratives?
As she had no trouble incorporating the Bible into her science, in contrast to the great majority of scientists working today.
And the whole assemblage contains more than 30 bullae. And one of them attracted our special attention.
She was actually rather excited to do so. This is unlike many scientists and scholars nowadays who believe that science and religion are in opposition to each other. Mazar's expertise in the field is therefore a major contributor to this significant discovery. What makes this discovery even more astonishing is that they were not specifically searching for Solomon's tomb. Instead, they were looking for something even larger. Mazar and her team were excavating the oldest part of Jerusalem, aiming to find King David's palace, when they uncovered a large wall segment approximately 210 feet long.
Cave of the Kings in Arabic. What is this place? What is its nature? Who made it? And why? Let's follow Barclay in discovering this magnificent site.
This segment included a gatehouse, a corner tower, and a royal structure. The archaeologists were stunned by the wall's size, suspecting it might be part of an even grander building, such as a temple or palace. They were thrilled by the possibility that this structure was connected to King Solomon's reign. Radiocarbon dating indicated that the site was from the period when King Solomon ruled. Mazar noted that this was the first time they had found a structure from that era that could correspond to the descriptions of King Solomon's buildings in Jerusalem. But could this have been built by another king and not Solomon? Keep watching. Mazar explained that there were not many kings from the 10th century who could have built such a structure, essentially just David and Solomon. According to the Bible, King David, known for his battle with Goliath, was the father of King Solomon and is credited with constructing the first temple of Jerusalem on the Temple Mount. Ceramics discovered near the wall helped date the structure to the second half of the 10th century BC, which was the era of King Solomon. It was discovered that near the gatehouse, 3-foot-tall, 1-meter-tall earthenware storage vessels were found, one of which bore a Hebrew inscription indicating it belonged to a high-ranking government official. Other finds included figurines typical of 10th century BC Jerusalem, such as 4-legged animals and large-breasted women likely symbolizing fertility. Additionally, jar handles with impressions reading "to the king" and various Hebrew names were uncovered. It is therefore important to consider the historical and archaeological significance of this particular discovery. Historical and archaeological significance. Finding King Solomon's temple has been a monumental goal for archaeologists for many years, and the recent discovery of a wall segment in the Ophel area represents a historic breakthrough. The Ophel area is one of the oldest parts of Jerusalem and is believed to be where King David's palace once stood. This discovery has provided new information about the area's history, linking it closely to biblical traditions that state King Solomon, the famous king of ancient Israel, was buried in the city of David. This discovery has significant implications, as it supports the biblical portrayal of Solomon as a powerful monarch ruling a substantial kingdom, contrary to the minimalist view that he was an insignificant tribal leader. The city of David, named after King David, Solomon's father, is believed to be the oldest part of Jerusalem, situated just south of the modern-day Old City. This area is significant because it is thought to be the original settlement where King David established his capital after conquering Jerusalem from the Jebusites. Archaeologists have conducted extensive excavations in this area, uncovering many ancient structures and artifacts that shed light on Jerusalem's early history. The city of David, also known as Wadi Hilwe, is an archaeological site considered the original core of ancient Jerusalem during the Bronze and Iron Ages. Situated on the southern part of Jerusalem's eastern ridge, it lies west of the Kidron Valley and east of the Tyropoeon Valley, just south of the Temple Mount. The site features remains dating back to the Middle Bronze Age, including a defensive network around the Gihon Spring. Significant discoveries include the large stone structure and the stepped stone structure from the Iron Age, with scholarly debate on their association with King David or a later period. But there's even more that was discovered. Among the notable discoveries in the city of David is the Siloam Tunnel, also known as Hezekiah's Tunnel, which was built to bring water into the city. This tunnel exemplifies the advanced engineering skills of ancient Jerusalem's inhabitants. The Siloam Tunnel, traditionally attributed to Hezekiah, has been dated earlier based on recent excavations. Roman period remains such as the Pool of Siloam and the Stepped Street have also been unearthed. Today, the excavated parts are part of Jerusalem Walls National Park, managed by the Israel Nature and Parks Authority and operated by the Ir David Foundation, located in Wadi Hilwe, which is an extension of the Palestinian neighborhood of Silwan in East Jerusalem, adjacent to an Israeli settlement. Another significant find is the large stone structure, believed by some to be the remains of King David's palace. This massive building, if indeed connected to David and Solomon, highlights the city of David's importance as a center of power and administration during their reigns. While recent discoveries have broken records, including significant artifacts, previous archaeologists struggled to definitively locate any royal tombs belonging to Solomon or his successors. There are several reasons for this historical gap. One potential explanation is that these tombs remained undiscovered, as the city of David is expansive and not all areas had been excavated during earlier efforts. It's plausible that these tombs were still concealed underground, awaiting discovery. Another possibility is that the tombs may have been destroyed or heavily damaged over time due to Jerusalem's tumultuous history of wars and invasions. Ancient structures could have been buried beneath subsequent constructions. But that's not all. Archaeologists persisted in their quest for these royal tombs, recognizing the groundbreaking potential such discoveries held. Unearthing these tombs would provide crucial insights into the rulers of ancient Israel and their burial customs, enriching our understanding of that era. Despite the absence of royal tombs, the discoveries within the city of David were invaluable. They enabled archaeologists and scientists to reconstruct Jerusalem's history and the lives of its inhabitants during the United Monarchy. Each new find expanded our knowledge and clarified the past. Before the tombs were eventually located, numerous compelling theories, such as those concerning hidden chambers, abounded. Let us check out some of these theories and speculations. Theories and speculations about the tomb's location. Before Dr. Mazar's discovery, various theories existed about the location of Solomon's tomb. Some believed it to be beneath the Temple Mount, a site of immense religious significance for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Among Muslims, the Temple Mount is known as Haram al-Sharif, the noble sanctuary. It is believed to be the site where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to the divine presence during the miraculous night journey, riding a winged horse. This event is commemorated by the Dome of the Rock Shrine, one of Islam's architectural marvels. The Temple Mount was a coveted territory, occupied or conquered by various peoples, including the Jebusites, Israelites, Babylonians, Greeks, Persians, Romans, Byzantines, early Muslims, Crusaders, Mamluks, Ottomans, and the British. It has witnessed numerous significant historical events, possibly more than any other 35 acres worldwide. However, archaeologists have had limited opportunities to explore the site for physical evidence to distinguish legend from reality. The site remains an active place of worship, and the controlling authority, an Islamic council known as the Waqf, has long prohibited archaeological excavations, viewing them as desecration. Apart from clandestine surveys of caves, cisterns, and tunnels by European adventurers in the late 19th century, and some minor archaeological work by the British from 1938 to 1942 during renovations of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the historical layers beneath the Temple Mount have largely remained unexplored. Therefore, even if Solomon's tomb is there, it is very difficult to locate it without proper investigation. Theories about hidden chambers beneath the Temple Mount remain just that, unproven theories, due to the lack of concrete evidence. In addition, some historical accounts and traditions mention royal burials near or within the vicinity of the Temple Mount. Ancient texts and stories suggest that kings, including Solomon, might have been buried close to this sacred site, adding to the mystery and theories surrounding the location of Solomon's tomb. One reason for believing Solomon's tomb could be near the Temple Mount is its connection to the First Temple, also known as Solomon's Temple, which was built by King Solomon and was a crucial place of worship for the Israelites. Given the temple's importance, it makes sense that Solomon's burial place might be nearby. But there are even more theories. Some historical texts hint at hidden chambers and secret passages beneath the Temple Mount, suggesting rooms or tunnels where significant items, possibly including the tombs of kings, were hidden. However, without the ability to explore these areas, it is difficult to confirm these stories. Limited archaeological investigations around the Temple Mount have not uncovered definitive evidence of Solomon's tomb. These investigations are often conducted carefully to avoid altering the site. While many interesting artifacts and structures have been found, the mystery of Solomon's tomb remains unsolved. If Solomon's tomb is indeed at the Temple Mount, as some theorists speculate, it would be a significant discovery not only for archaeologists, but also for everyone interested in history and religion. But this isn't the only theory that has existed about the location of Solomon's tomb. What other theories have emerged over time? Keep watching to find out. One significant location is Zedekiah's Cave, also known as Solomon's Quarries, a 5-acre underground limestone quarry under the Muslim quarter of the Old City of Jerusalem. Spanning 5 city blocks and carved over thousands of years, it is believed to have provided the stone for King Solomon's first temple and is the largest quarry in Jerusalem. The strong, erosion-resistant Meliki limestone was well suited for royal buildings. The cave has a rich history, with legends of King Zedekiah hiding there from Babylonian soldiers and associations with the Freemasons, although these are mostly speculative. The cave is now open to the public with guided tours, although some areas remain closed for safety or ongoing excavation. Another speculated site is Zedekiah's Cave, also known as Solomon's Quarries. This vast underground limestone quarry has historical links to King Solomon, and local lore suggests it might contain hidden passages leading to his tomb. The cave's labyrinthine passages and mysterious air make it a compelling candidate for housing the long-lost burial site. Besides Zedekiah's Cave, archaeologists have considered Hezekiah's Tunnel, part of Jerusalem's ancient water system, as another potential hiding place for Solomon's tomb. This tunnel, dug during King Hezekiah's reign to prepare for an Assyrian attack, connects the Gihon Spring with the Pool of Siloam. It passes under the city, exposing sections of the western wall and featuring historical sites like Warren's Gate. Other proposed locations for Solomon's tomb include Mount Zion, traditionally associated with the city of David. However, this theory is based on a misconception. King David's actual burial site is in the southeastern area of Jerusalem's Old City, known as the City of David. French archaeologist Raymond Wile's early 20th century excavations in this area uncovered structures he believed to be royal tombs. While Mount Zion is traditionally associated with King David's burial, it is now believed that David was buried in the City of David, south of the Temple Mount. Consequently, the notion of Solomon's tomb being on Mount Zion is widely regarded as inaccurate.